When my daughter was born, she had dark skin and looked like her parents could be of African descent. My husband was furious and accused me of cheating and left right then and there. He told everyone on both sides of the family what happened and wanted a divorce. Then his friends and families all called me to say how upset they were and called me really nasty names. My mother was by my side the entire time as I kept professing my innocence. He refused to pick me up from the hospital, threw myself out on the lawn and changed the locks. When my sister called to get the baby stuff, he texted her a picture of a bare nursery room and said he got rid of everything. He even destroyed my art studio. Eventually, he agreed to do a paternity test and he was 100% the father. No one could believe this, so he did it again and he was the dad. One of his cousins did the ancestry thing and found out there was 30% of African in their family. This made Jim's paternal great-grandmother admit to having an affair around the same time Jim's grandfather was born, and because he could pass as hers, she just assumed her husband was the father. Since then, he's been reaching out and everyone has come to apologize. I told him I needed time and he asked to see the baby and I let him, but I'm too afraid to physically hand her to him. I've never cheated and have been 100% innocent all this time. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give him a second chance? My sister-in-law and I have an agreement where she watches the kids 3 days a week and I watch hers 3 days a week. A couple of weeks ago, we had an argument, and the next day I brought my kids to her house and dropped them off and left. When I got to work, I had 20 missed calls, all from my sister-in-law saying I need to pick up the kids because she doesn't want to watch them due to our fight. And I had 45 minutes to get there or else she'll call the cops. It took me about an hour to get back to her house, but she already called the cops, so I had to stick around long enough to tell the officer that I didn't abandon my children, it was just miscommunication. I have since arranged for other childcare for my kids and I've been mostly ignoring her. However, she reached out and apologized and has asked if I'd be willing to go back to the old childcare arrangement. I work with kids. If I got abandonment on my record, I would never work in my field again, which she knew, and her calling the police was a massive overreaction. She said that if I checked my phone, talked to her that morning, or came back when I was supposed to, she would not have needed to call the police, and I did this to myself. I've told her that if she thinks I'm babysitting for her, she's delusional and she's on her own. Because of my refusal, it's looking like she may need to quit her job because my brother and her would pay more for a babysitter than they would earn from her working. My mom and brother are calling me an asshole because there was no consequence to her calling the police.
About a year into my relationship with my ex-fiance, he said that it was one of his coworkers' birthdays and asked if I wanted to go out to celebrate with everyone. I told him yes, and then he asked me if we could pick her up because she didn't have a ride to the nightclub, and I told him of course. We went to her house, went inside, had a drink with her, got in the car, drove to the nightclub, and met about 20 to 25 of their coworkers there. Throughout the night, he kept asking me to dance with her, and I thought it was weird because I didn't know her at all. Eventually, I decided I'd dance with her since it was her birthday and she seemed like she wanted to have fun. We went out on the dance floor and started dancing, and at one point I looked back and I noticed that all of the coworkers were laughing with my ex. I thought maybe he told a joke and didn't really think anything of it. In the end, I found out that that was the girl he was cheating on me with, and they weren't laughing because someone told a joke. They were laughing because I was the joke. Not only was he cheating on me, but everyone knew about it, and they decided that it was the perfect time to humiliate me unknowingly.
Am I wrong for no longer doing business with this customer? A family member referred this customer to me. It started normal going back and forth about a cake she wanted. She was extremely detailed, so we texted for days. We finally confirmed the order, and that's when she started calling me. She would ask me if the topper came in and if I was sure I knew what I was doing. I explained to her I had everything handled, but I was very busy, so I would contact her if there was an issue. She texts me every day to remind me because she was worried I would forget. I'm very patient, but I started feeling a little insulted. The day of the cake, she insisted I send her progress photos. I explained I don't send photos of unfinished work and am strapped for time. My family member calls upset saying I need to send her photos. I decided I didn't want to work with her again. Am I overreacting?
This is an ongoing mess that continues to haunt me. My sister is recently engaged to her boyfriend of many years. He proposed to her at one of our family barbecues, and I was really happy for them until I saw the ring. My sister had hinted that her and her boyfriend were discussing tying the knot, and we discussed rings at length. I went online and searched for the type of ring she said she was interested in and happened across a very unique and pretty ring on Etsy, but it had a fake middle stone. As soon as I saw the ring, I recognized it. Everyone knows they're supposed to spend at least 3 to 4 months pay on an engagement ring. He has a good paying job, and 4 months wages for him would be at least 8 to 10K at an estimate. I know for a fact that this ring was $450. I waited until the proposal was over and asked the couple for a quiet word, but that had the opposite effect as I was overheard by the entire family. I told my sister I had seen her ring online and it wasn't a real diamond or even expensive. I accused her boyfriend of trying to cheap out of one of the most important gifts of her entire life. She burst into tears and said she gave him a budget of $400. She didn't want a real diamond. She's lost every piece of jewelry she's owned, and she didn't want to be devastated by losing this if she ever does. Thought I was doing my sisterly duty by pointing out the fake ring. Am I the asshole for telling my sister?
You guys are not even gonna believe it when I say that when I was 15, I almost became a stepmom. Yes, we did skip a few chapters, so let's start from the beginning of the book. Back in the day, in middle school, there was this new bad boy in town. And for the purpose of the story, his name will be Dean. So Dean was a little bit older, but he would date some of the middle school girls. A little sus, I know, but even beyond this man had a bad reputation. And I did my best to stay away from guys like him. That was until the second quarter of my sophomore year in high school happened. And while my mom and I were walking around Walmart looking for a pair of jeans, we ran into Dean's mom. Well, our mom started talking and bonded really well. And that's when his mom suggested that we would be a really cute couple. She talked about how much he's changed, so I went ahead and added him on Snap. And the insane thing is that we actually started having really good conversation, like deep existential ones. But one night I was bored and started to creep on his Instagram account, and I came across a gender reveal photo. This man had a whole son on the way, and I accidentally liked the photo, and that's when I got a text from Dean saying, "Go ahead, ask me." So part 2 to me almost becoming a stepmom at the age of 15. So when he asked me about liking the gender reveal photo, I just decided to go ahead and play it dumb and be like, "What?" And then he tried to act like that text was meant for someone else. And then I go, "Are you sure you didn't want to ask me about your kid?" He was literally so embarrassed and thought that I would think of him differently. But he told me that him and that girl broke up, so I honestly didn't care. I was just like, so I could potentially be his stepmom. And he was like, yeah, I would actually love that. So we continue to snap and talk as normal and start to date. I caught feelings for Dean so hard. But one night when we were snapping, I got really excited and opened it up. And it was some girl. It said, "Who the F are you and why are you snapping my man?" I was like, "Me and Dean have been talking." And she was like, "I'm his baby mama and girlfriend." So I literally told her everything that this man had said to me and that he was in love with me. But then I blocked him on everything because I didn't want to break up their family. Ladies, if a baby mama is involved, always do that little extra bit of stalking to make sure they're really not together. Follow my Insta.
I work as an assistant for a really big fashion company. I had a defective wedding dress and my boss asked if I knew anyone we could give it to. My best friend recently got engaged, so it was perfect. When she posted on Instagram to thank me and my boss, my family caught wind of it, and that's when the influx of calls came. I do not have a good relationship with my family. My parents kicked me out when I was 16 after I came out to them, and my sister wasn't much better. They demanded to know why I gave the dress to my friend and not to my sister. I didn't even know she was engaged. They suggested I try to take it back from my friend as family should always come first. My sister even tried to call my boss to complain. I just got off the phone with my mom and this is how the conversation went. She says my sister is very upset about the dress and I told her she needs to get over it. My mom says I can make it up to them by giving her another dress. I posted one last night on my Instagram. It's a $12,000 dress and that's the one my sister wants. And I told her, "You expect me to give you a $12,000 dress when you kicked me out when I was 16? My mom says, "That was a long time ago and we're talking about your sister, not me." When I refused to give the dress, my mom says the least I can do is help her buy one. At this point I hang up and I've been avoiding them since then.
Story from Anonymous. So one day, my friends and I went down to the lake. It was about mid-afternoon. And one of my friends, let's call her Mandy, packed us all swimsuits. Mind you, it was below freezing outside. But we decided to go swimming anyway. So we were in the lake swimming for a good half hour. And one of my friends, let's call him Jack, started to turn blue. We didn't think much of it at the time. Follow for part 2. Storytime part 2. So we all just swam for 10 more minutes until we heard a loud scream. Jack had jumped out of the water and was screaming at the top of his lungs. We didn't know what was wrong with him or why he was screaming like that. We all got out of the water and tried to comfort him, but he kept on screaming. We started freaking out and we didn't know what to do. He just kept on screaming and screaming for 10 minutes straight. After screaming so much, he passed out. We all started panicking and I called my parents, and they came and picked us up. Jack was rushed to the hospital. It turns out he was hallucinating and thought he was covered in leeches. Until this day, we haven't been able to see each other again because his parents think that we did that to him. Thank you for listening. And also this weekend, I'm going out to my ranch, so I won't be active. And one more thing, thank you so much for 67,000. I'm so happy for each and every one of you. Bye.
For Friday Fan Stories with Emily with an E, bitch. This story goes from 0 to horror movie in less than 5 seconds, bitch. So I was seeing this guy for a couple months on and off, and he was super sweet, and he always insisted on having me stay over his house. Oh, bitch, okay, get your Netflix and chill in. And although he was super sweet and patient, he had a couple of requirements that he needed me to agree to in order for me to stay over. Bitch, what? Requirements, bitch. Is he your teacher or your boyfriend? Whatever. He also said he was not willing to meet any of my friends because he had really bad social anxiety, so he didn't want to be in groups that he did not know. Okay. So one night we were having a sleepover and we got a little freaky. y'all getting nasty. I went to work the next morning and I noticed that I had cold sores in my mouth, as well as when I went to the bathroom, when I wiped, ew! My no-no area had this weird pus and smell to it. Ew, girl, what the fuck? So I went to the doctor immediately because I thought that I could have caught. The doctor then proceeded to tell me that the only way that I could get this rash was if I had sex with dead people or if I had sex with someone who did like to have sex with dead people. What? The doctor then suggested for me to go to the police, and when I did, they told me that the guy that I was seeing didn't exist. Girl, what the fuck? I tried to call the guy to tell him what happened, but the moment that I told him that I went to the doctor, he hung up the phone on me and blocked me off everything. Oh my God, where the fuck do y'all find these people? I tried to reach out to him again and go to his apartment, but when I went there, everything was gone.